So another measure central tendency is the weighted mean, but using a frequency distribution. So using, instead of the percentages like we did in the last example, using the actual frequencies associated with things. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a group data set or frequency distribution. So sometimes if we're not given access to raw data, or if we've done the grouping method, we can estimate the mean in a group data sense or in a frequency distribution. So what a frequency distribution actually is basically a table, and it's counting up the frequencies of certain data points, which are grouped into intervals of the same length, and these are known as classes, and the number of values within each class is tallied up, and that creates our frequency. So we are going to go through a process of creating a frequency distribution, but once we have a frequency distribution, then we actually want to use the weighted average formula, or the weighted mean formula, to actually find out what our mean is going to be. And that's an estimation of what you would have if you actually utilize the raw data. So it's still the same formula for weighted mean. So sum of the product, the value, and the frequency, or the weight. So we are going to use the frequency in this example, divided by the number of values, or the sum of the weighting. So we're going to again divide by the number of values that we actually have. So let's go through the process of actually creating a frequency distribution, and then we'll show how to use that to find the weighted mean again. So here's our example. Construct a frequency distribution for the following scores, and find the weighted mean is what we're actually going to be doing. So here we have our frequency distribution. It's taking our raw data and putting it into table format. And we have our classes along here, so our class intervals, 50 to 58, 59 to 67, etc., etc. So it's already laid out for us. Then we have our tally, so we're going to take the time to actually say what values fall within these particular ranges. We'll count those up to find our frequency, but then the problem is that we don't have one specific number that we're going to look at, so we'll find our midpoint of our classes, and then we'll do our weighted mean associated with that. So let's start with our tally. So we need to go through each of our values and tally them up into our values here. So 52 is going to fall within this one, 87, 64, 54, 69, 79, 88, 83, 57, 83, 69, 90, 74, 69, and 77. So when I actually add them all up, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I had 15 total. And again, that should match how many data points you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Perfect. So we should be able to just translate that over into our frequencies. So we counted up 3, 1, 4, 4, 3, which again should add up to the same as what I got in the total from before. And that does add up to a total of 15. So those are my frequencies, so I'm going to be using that as part of my weighted average, or my weighted mean, but we need another number to multiply by. So we need to have a unique number to do it. We can't just multiply by every single number in our range. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the mean, or the midpoint between each of our classes. So 50 plus 58, and then we'll divide that by 2. So our midpoint in this case is 54. So that's what's right in the middle of our class boundary. Add up the next two, so 59 plus 67 divided by 2, I get 63. Add up the next two, 68 plus 76, I get 72. 77 plus 85, you get 81. And then 86 plus 94 divided by 2, you get 90. So you should see it going up by a consistent amount each time as you go through your midpoints. You don't necessarily have to do your total of your midpoints because it's not going to contribute to our calculation. And then we're going to find our weighted mean. So remember, that's our frequency times our value. So we're going to be multiplying each of these values to get our product. So 3 times 54 is 162. 1 times 63 is 63. And then you get 288, 324, and 270. So that's basically my weighted component. I'm taking how many frequency values, multiply them by the midpoint of my classes. If I sum up these values to get the sum of my products, I get 1,107. So doing all this work, I basically have my two components. I have my sum of my products, and then I have my total number of data points. So my weighted mean or my weighted average is going to be a division of those two values. So weighted mean equals sum of products over number of values in this case. So what's 1,107 divided by 15 data points? And we end up getting a weighted average of 73.8.